Which fragrance should I wear to the office? Prada L'Homme? Secretions Magnifique? Yeah. Hey friends, Ash here with gentsscents. Hope you're doing really well. There are lots of videos and articles all over the internet telling you which fragrances you should wear to the office. Fragrances like Prada L'Homme. And those are very useful videos for sure, especially if you don't know exactly what are the go-to fragrances for office wear nowadays. There aren't as many videos telling you what not to wear to the office, and that's what we're going over here today. I have 5 different fragrances in front of me here that I'm going to present to you guys and let you know why I would not wear these to the office. So let's jump into it. Now I could make this really obvious and just have fragrances like Secretions Magnifique, and in case you don't know about this one, you can look it up, but some of the notes in the fragrance are here, so maybe not great to wear to the office. But that's common sense, or at least I hope it is. So instead, let's go over some fragrances that maybe some people have worn to the office and not had great success with. People like myself. First up, from Tom Ford Noir Eau de Parfum. This one has iris, patchouli, violet, rose, and some animalic notes in the fragrance. It actually has a whole bunch of notes. It's one of those fragrances that really wants you to know, hey, this is complex. There are a number of fragrances in the Tom Ford Noir lineup, and I would say actually Tom Ford Noir Eau de Toilette, you may be able to pull that one off in the office, actually. This one, not a great idea. This one is dark, it's dusty, and as I mentioned, it's pretty complex. The issue that you're gonna have with this fragrance is that it's not gonna be appealing to everybody. It's pretty divisive, actually, in my experience. And I did wear this to the office, and maybe I had sprayed it on 1 or 2 times too many. I don't think so personally, but maybe some people could say that. And it didn't go well for me. I've actually talked about it on this channel in the past before, but a couple of ladies picked this up wafting off of me as I moved around the office, and they didn't have very nice things to say. In their own words that I overheard, knowing that they were talking about me, they said that somebody smelled like a used up old lady of the night, we'll say. Yeah. So not really the reception I was hoping for or going for there. Yeah, not good. A lot of times with men's fragrances that do have a heavy concentration on floral notes, it's a little iffy for some guys, and this one is gonna be harder to pull off than most. The fragrance itself, on a personal level, I like the way it smells. It did have to grow on me over time, but I dig it. Lots of other people out there, not so much. Next up, we've got a classic, a real classic, Yves Saint Laurent Kouros. Now this fragrance, I love. I think this fragrance is great. I don't care what anybody else says. I don't care about people that say, oh, you know, it's dated, it's a fragrance of its time and it doesn't work anymore. Yeah, whatever. Keep that to yourself. This has civet, it has honey, it has aldehydes, it's got leather, very masculine. This is strong stuff. Even a modern bottle, which this one is still very strong and will outperform probably 90-95% of men's fragrances on the market right now. Let alone if you have a vintage bottle of this stuff. If you do, that's got a little bit of a wang to it, a little bit of funk. So yeah, it's animalic, and some people are gonna say this, that, and the other thing about how it smells off-putting and is difficult to wear and all this other stuff. And if we're talking about an office situation where you've got, you know, older guys, older ladies, younger ladies, all intermingling together, is Kouros going to be easy to pull off? No, no. You can still appreciate Kouros and still say, man, Kouros is fantastic. And I will not argue with you a bit. But if you say, I wear Kouros into my office with dozens of different people from all walks of life and everyone loves it, you're lying and you don't work in an office. This next one has just never worked for me, ever. Yopom. Now, I understand the importance of the fragrance. I understand how popular the fragrance has been over the years, and I understand how fragrances have come after this that are clearly inspired by this. Looking at you, Mont Blanc Individual. Looking at you, Creed Original Santal. Vanilla, tonka, cinnamon, and heliotrope are some of the notes in the fragrance. And while this has clearly inspired those fragrances that I talked about, I would actually take those fragrances over this one, even though this one is extremely inexpensive. It's just too cough syrupy sweet. I don't enjoy it at all. And the stuff is loud and strong and projects and lasts forever. And some people will say, man, those are all good things. And if the fragrance is good, sure, they are. But when the fragrance smells like an apocalyptic cough syrup that's exploded all over the room, no, not good. Now you could make the argument that in a club type setting, you want something like this, something really loud and sweet that's gonna get attention. Okay, we're talking about an office setting. And for that, no, don't do it. Now, this next fragrance, I love. My favorite one out of these 5, this is one of my favorites of all time. Dior Homme Intense. This has iris and Brett, lavender and cedar, and this stuff is just awesome. Legitimately, I could just sit here and just smell this atomizer all day. Maybe not, that'd be a really unproductive day, but yeah, I mean, I love it, I love it. I love it. Ridiculous levels. Most people probably don't like this like I do. And while I'm sitting here fanboying over a bottle that I've owned for years and years, which is kind of weird, it's not a good office fragrance. Now, you could pull off a number of different fragrances that were released in the Dior Homme line in the office pretty easily. Dior Homme Sport, Dior Homme Eau, which is now discontinued for some reason. Way to go, Dior. Those can work in the office pretty easily. Dior Homme Cologne you could pull off in the office, even though it's really citrusy and summery, still very safe. And even the original Dior Homme or Dior Homme 2020, you can wear those pretty easily to the office. But once you get into Dior Homme Intense, Dior Homme Parfum, at that point, it's a little bit too much of a good thing. They're a little bit too rich, a little bit too deep, and maybe a little bit too divisive to be worn to the office. So even though I think Dior Homme Intense and Dior Homme Parfum are pretty much the pinnacle of the Dior Homme line, those are also the ones that are the least safe for an office. Now, last up, we're gonna go with the big clubbing fragrance, and that's pretty much why it's not a great fragrance to the office. It's 1 Million by Paco Rabanne. Now, Versace Eros is also a really well-known club fragrance, but I think Eros is actually more office safe than 1 Million. Cinnamon, rose, amber, leather, and orange are some of the notes in this fragrance. This one is loud, it's sweet, and unfortunately for a lot of people, it's obnoxious. And that's really why it's not gonna work all that well in an office type setting. You don't want a fragrance that's gonna be viciously punching everyone in the nose that you come into contact with. Now, there will be some people out there like, no, that is what I want. I want you to smell me. And that's all gravy until your manager calls you into their office and says, yeah, we're gonna need you to go home, take a shower, change your clothes, and then come back. And at that point, what are you really gonna do? You can't really look at your manager and be like, yeah, get bent, I smell awesome. You could do that technically, and then they'll go, you're right. Oh wait, no, actually you're fired. And while that may not happen, the whole manager situation, what will happen, at the least, if you're wearing aggressive stuff that's overwhelming that people don't really like, you're gonna become the cologne guy, and not in a good way. At an office, you don't wanna be the cologne guy. You wanna be the guy that smells good, the guy that people say, oh, did you smell so-and-so today? They smell awesome, like always. You don't want them to be like, oh, did you smell that guy today? Yeah, friggin' dude smells horrible again. Because that'll start happening. People will start talking, they'll start doing their gossip stuff. That happens a lot in offices, and it's not good. I've seen that happen to other people, our fallen brothers. I've seen them chastised for their choices. Very sad. All of this is just to say 1 Million, too clubbing, too youthful, too loud, too sweet to wear in the office. So there we go, 5 different fragrances you should not wear to the office, even though in actuality I like pretty much all of them, except this one. All right guys, that's gonna do it for me. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Thanks for all your support. Stay safe out there and keep smelling good. Make smart choices, people. I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video.